That's awesome. That's awesome. So you graduate from high school. Where do you go?
Mhm. Well, at that time when I graduated from my high school, I was a little bit on my dad was always my mentor, coach, person, and still is. He spends a couple hours every week with me at my dining room table over cinnamon roll and coffee, and we chew the fat.
Mhm.
And so he's still a big part of my life. But at that time, he was really, my advisor. And he was also in Saudi Arabia for that
Mhm.
year. And so I was kind of left to my own devices a little bit. And I also knew that I was going to college. I'd never had a day in my life where I didn't know that. That was very much ground into me by my family, which was fine. It wasn't a decision I had to make. And I also knew that it had to be a college that I could put myself through. And
Mhm.
so the one college that I applied to was the only college that I could really see myself affording to go to, and that was University of Washington, 10 miles away.
Wow.
And as it turns out, it was an amazing school to be 10 miles away from. And I was able to put myself through school and studied business and really enjoyed it. But I wasn't, I was with a bunch of business majors,
Hmm.
and they were going finance and computer science and all these things. And there was this little tiny slot in the business school for business, government, and society. And
Hmm.
I love the sociology part of it. I
Hmm.
didn't know where it was going to go, but I took that direction. And by the time I was a senior in college, it was very clear that I wanted to go on to law school. So just sort of, I'm a big fan of the organic yes. You
Hmm.
just kind of take the next step without necessarily seeing the whole story, and tends to get you where you need to go.
That's awesome. So, what was your favorite thing about studying your undergrad at University of Washington?
Can I say the social life?
Of course you can.
I had
Whatever your
so
favorite
much
thing is,
fun.
that would
All
be your
right.
favorite thing, right?
I had so much fun experimenting and playing, different roles and trying on different personalities. I had been such a very good girl, so studious, play by the rules. I grew up with a military officer as a dad. I was high performing in school, always trying to get A's. And, I'd moved so much as a kid. It was just, what is the recipe for success here? Follow the recipe, stay within the lines. Dun, 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 dun.
Right.
And when I got to college, particularly the first 2 years I lived at home, but the second 2 years I moved out and I just had some room to breathe and start to discover a little bit more of myself. And also when I was early in college and coming out of high school, I was working 20 hours a week on top of everything else. So, I stayed inside the lines, but my life was structured where there wasn't a lot of extra room. But
Right.
by the time I moved out, I maybe for a time was a tad bit rudderless, but that was a good experience too. I needed that,
Good for you.
especially since I decided to go to law school and that all went away. So I'm glad I had a couple of years of just really having fun.